I struggle with procrastination a lot. I get stuck thinking about the task instead of actually doing it. I think about every little detail, convince myself that I'll start in an hour, then tomorrow, then next week. Sometimes it's perfectionism, and sometimes I completely underestimate how long the task is actually going to take. Then, when I finally have to get it done, I end up trying to cram hours of work into 1 hour. The result is usually rushed, half done, and nowhere near the standard I know I'm capable of. I know I could do so much better if I could just start earlier and keep going consistently. And that's just been the story of my life. But over time, I came up with a method that helped me more than anything else. It's something I developed by changing the way I do interstitial journaling, and whenever I actually use it, it makes a huge difference. It helps me get started, and maybe more importantly, it helps me keep going. So that's what I want to show you today. I haven't really seen anyone else use this exact method. Maybe other people do it, but I haven't come across it. So I'll be calling it the next minute method. So let's open up the notebook and I'll show you exactly how it works. So if you have ADHD, you probably love planning. Like you make a plan for the day or the week and it feels exciting. You think about everything you're going to get done. But then the time comes to actually do those things and suddenly you don't want to do any of them. Maybe you miss one task and the whole plan feels ruined. Maybe your own schedule starts to feel restrictive, like you're trapped by the plan that you made for yourself. I experienced all of that too. And part of the problem is that the payoff for actually doing the work is too far away. With ADHD, the brain looks for something that gives a reward right now, and planning gives that immediate sense of completion. So it feels productive, even though nothing has been started yet. Like you closed your planner feeling like the day was successful, but nothing has actually been done. Doing the task is effort first and payoff later, and that gap makes it really easy to avoid. And then we end up making another plan tomorrow, and then we don't follow that either. Another thing that makes this difficult is how our brains perceive tasks. Like instead of seeing the next small step, we see the entire project all at once. Like every step, every decision, every possible problem. It's overwhelming before we've even begun. So to solve that, we're going to use a slightly modified version of interstitial journaling. I've talked about interstitial journaling in several other videos, but the basic idea is simple. Throughout the day, you write down the current time, what you just finished doing, and the next small step that you're going to take. And you do this between tasks, and it helps you stay present instead of getting lost in your thoughts. But I changed parts of that system and it turned into something that works even better for procrastination. So what we will do is we're only going to think about the next minute. So here is how it works. First, write today's date at the top of the page. Then write the current time. And leave a little space next to it. And then you're going to write what you're committing to right now. Let's say you've been avoiding a work task, or you're a student with an exam coming up and you've been putting off studying. You already know what the task is. Like if you have ADHD and you've been procrastinating, trust me, you've thought about it enough already. We don't need to write work on the project because your brain already knows what the task is. Instead, think of the first physical thing you can do for this task. Like open the laptop. Notice that I'm writing it as a command because this isn't a journal entry. It's an instruction to myself for the next minute. The first step should almost feel too easy, like open the laptop, pick up the notebook, stand up and walk to the table, like grab your pen. You're trying to lower the resistance as much as possible. Then you go and do it. And when you come back, you simply write the finish time, like 10:22. And you don't write opened the laptop. Traditional interstitial journaling would have you write what you just did and then write the next step. And then the next entry will be the same sentence, but in past tense. Personally, I never liked that part. it felt repetitive to me and I realized I don't actually need that. I can already see I finished it because I wrote the finish time, right? What I really need my notebook for is telling me what to do next, because future me is the one who needs help. So writing the finish time is enough. And more importantly, this closes the loop. For an ADHD brain, that's huge. Like instead of having 10 open loops floating around in your head, you finish one small thing before moving to the next, and you can actually see yourself making progress. Now ask yourself one question. What's the next minute? Now, just to be clear, this doesn't mean you're going to plan your entire day minute by minute. The task itself might take 5 minutes or 2 hours, and that's fine. What matters is that what you write down, what you commit to in that moment, is always what you'll be doing in the next minute. One small doable thing, and that's all you're ever asking of yourself. Maybe it's this. I write the time again and then open VS Code, which is a code editor. Anyway, you go and do it and then write the finish time. And notice how the first few steps are tiny, like 1 minute, 2 minutes. And that's exactly what we want because we're easing ourselves into the task instead of trying to jump straight into an hour of focused work. And then the next one. Read the task requirements. Now let's say I read them and I got stuck. Maybe I don't understand what they're asking. Maybe there's a technical term I've never seen before. Maybe that's the real reason I've been avoiding this task all week. Now, this is exactly where you need to keep writing. Be honest with yourself and talk to yourself on paper. So, after reading, I come back, I write the finish time, and I tell myself what happened. What went wrong? I'm talking to myself on paper, right? So I leave some notes to myself. I don't understand one of the terms. I'll Google it first. I go and Google it, and then let's say I found a video. So I come back, I write my finish time, and again, I leave a little note here. I'm still talking to myself. So I write, I found a video that explains it. And then I close this task with the finish time. And then what can be my next step? I write the time again and I write, watch the video, take notes. And when I do that, I come back and write the finish time and close this loop. And then I can continue like this, like I understand the main idea now. So what is my instruction? Start writing the code for the first requirement. So you see what's happening? Instead of pretending you know everything, you're writing down the actual obstacle and small little ways to tackle it. So most procrastination isn't random. There's usually something underneath it. And a lot of the time, it comes down to not having enough information yet. You don't fully see the next step, or there's a part of the task that feels unclear. And instead of slowing down and figuring that out, everything just sort of freezes. And that's usually where the stuck feeling comes from, because there is a gap somewhere. And until that gap is filled, it just sits in the background, feeling bigger than it is. For me, writing like this helps make that gap visible, because once I actually start writing down what I need to do in real time, the task stops being this vague thing in my head and turns into something more concrete, something I can actually respond to. And the notebook helps me name the obstacle. And after I name it, now it's a problem that I can actually find a solution to, because that problem isn't going to solve itself while I keep avoiding it. Like most of the time, there's a question hiding underneath the procrastination. Sometimes it's simple things like, I don't know where to begin, or I don't understand this word, or I'm not sure which file to open. I don't really get what this part is asking for. It's usually something small like that, but while it stays unknown, it just feels like I can't start. So, if there's something you don't know, then your next step is to learn that missing piece and not to magically become motivated or something. So that's why I keep coming back to this idea of missing information. If something isn't moving, I assume there's just something I haven't figured out yet, and the next step is to find it.
Not everything at once, no, but just the next piece that makes things a little clearer, and then the next one after that. And slowly, it stops looking like this massive wall and just becomes the next small thing, and then the next, and then the next, until you're just moving through it. Now, sometimes it's not about missing information at all. You know exactly what you need to do. Like there's no confusion, no hidden gap. You just really don't want to do it. It might just feel boring or repetitive, and that's a different kind of stuck. But the method still helps there because the version of the task living in your head is much worse than the task itself in reality. It sometimes just feels enormous and draining before you've even touched it. So instead of work on the project, it still comes down to something smaller, like sit down, open the file, learn what this term means, and so on. And the version in your head starts to get smaller because you're just committing to the next minute only and not to a whole project or a task. So there's less of a chance of getting overwhelmed. Also, with this version of interstitial journaling, because there are time ranges, you can understand better how long tasks actually take compared to the original version. And that helps build time awareness more effectively, in my opinion. And you don't have to use this method all day long. I mostly use it for the task I'm procrastinating on. And once I'm in the flow and don't need a notebook anymore, I stop writing and just keep working. And at the end of the session, give yourself a small reward. For me, it can be something simple like chocolate or watching something I enjoy, but make this something that you will actually look forward to. It might sound small, but it actually matters more than it might seem. Like every time you finish and then do something enjoyable, your brain starts to associate completing the task with feeling good. And over time, that connection gets a little stronger, and you're slowly teaching your brain that finishing things feels better than avoiding them. And that really helps with motivation and consistency. So this might seem like a small shift from the original interstitial journaling method, but the difference is bigger than it looks. The original is mostly about recording, like you write down what you did and then what comes next. It's like a log, right? This version is less about the past and more about the future. You're writing an instruction for your future self who's about to take the next step. And also, you're having a conversation with yourself in real time. And then once the step is done, you close it with the finish time. That loop of commit, do, close, that is what makes it work for procrastination in a way the original doesn't quite do for me. But of course, there's a time and a place to use both because they're both great. So yeah, that's the method. I hope you'll give this a go and see how it feels for you. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what other topics you would like me to talk about, and I'll try and make a video on them. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!